Hello again, this is the second episode of Guide to Estonian Language. I finished editing the first video. There was a lot of ASMR sounds from the mic, so I'm putting it on the table now. When you open your textbooks, your language learning textbooks, it's always the same stories, right? There's one chapter about writing about your summer vacation to your grandparents, ordering food at a restaurant, asking for the price, comparing prices, asking for directions at a bus stop. It's always that. It's very dry. It's very boring. I want something nice to read. I want something fun to read. You probably want something fun to read as well. First book I would recommend is this, Tont ja Facebook. It is by Andrus Givirak. Apologies for my R. I can't do it. He is a very famous Estonian writer. He's written a lot of children books, a lot of books for young adults as well, and for adults. And I recommend you start with this book because each chapter is only about 3 pages long, and each chapter is a short story by itself. The reason why this is good is because when you start reading books, you'll be using Google Translate or other translation tools, and a lot of the times it will just not be able to translate. And when I was reading books at a much earlier beginner level, it was very frustrating because there would just be chunks of text that I don't understand, I can't follow this story, and it's really frustrating. But you have a book like this, very short stories. If you don't understand something, it's fine, you just move on. You can come back later and review it. If you learn the vocabulary, the verbs, the grammatical style he writes in, when you start reading his other books, it's going to be very easy and very enjoyable as well. You'll be translating less. What I find is that when I read books from the same author, I'm taking less words, I am learning less of new vocabulary, new grammar rules, and I am reinforcing the stuff I already learned, and it's much more enjoyable not having to stop every few sentences to look up something. My next recommendation is a series that I like, which is Teedu ja Peedu. This is a Finnish writer, and what I like about this book is that there's a lot of pictures and it's very visual. I find that there's a lot of children books where they would just have a page and it's just like a giraffe, and then it would describe this massive story about this giraffe going to the store, meeting his friends, getting this pool, and stopping by to save a cat from a tree, and it's just all these descriptions and there's no pictures for it. So this book does the opposite. There's a lot of pictures. I enjoy it because it's very silly. I like silly things, and it's a series just like the other book I recommend. Once you've learned the vocabulary of one book, the writing style, the verbs they use, when you read the next book, it becomes really easy. You're spending more time enjoying the book and less time actually searching for words and trying to figure stuff out. Last book I recommend is by a famous American writer, this classic piece of literature I've read multiple times. I've studied it. It is one of my favorites, and that's Captain Underpants. I'm not recommending this book specifically, but this was my favorite book as a child. If you have a book that you've enjoyed as a kid and you want to read again, definitely go for it if it has been translated. One of the main things I recommend is that you should enjoy reading. It should be fun.
Why is no one having a good time? I specifically requested it.
And the same point is getting books that interest you, even if they are quite difficult. I have 2 books. I was born in Hong Kong and I was raised in Australia. Even though it's quite difficult and it takes me a lot of time trying to figure things out, learning a lot of vocabulary. Narcissistic personality disorder. Yeah, that's the handsome disease. This is a balance between picking books that you enjoy and picking books that are difficult. If there are books that you really enjoy reading, if there's a topic you love, you can overcome that difficulty if you have enough motivation and enjoyment from the book. All of the books I've shown in here, I've borrowed. The majority of books I read, I borrow from the library. because I'm not really going to read them more than once. I'd rather read a new book than read the same book. Thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe as usual. All the books I've mentioned in this video I've linked in the description. The next episode I'm going to go through how I use these books to create my own flashcard. So if you're interested, check out the next episode. And if you haven't seen the first episode where I go through different resources to learn Estonian, go check it out. Those links are in the description.